are not recording.
Mm-hmm.
You can make fun of women all you want, Randy, but, women have it hard because when you have to visit a public bathroom as a woman, you usually find a line of women. So you smile real politely and nice and you take your place. When you finally get your turn, you check your feet under the stall doors and see if any stall is free. Well, finally, some door will open and you run in, nearly knocking down the woman who's leaving, and you get in to find the door won't latch. Of course, it never latches.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. You've waited so long, you're going to wet your pants. So, that dispenser for the modern seat covers that was invented probably by somebody's mom. It's a handy, but it's always empty. So you hang your purse on the door hook, but there's no door hook either. They're always broken off. So you drape your purse around your neck. Mom would turn over in a grave if you put it on the floor, so you can't do that. You drape that thing over your neck and yank down your pants and assume the stance. Now, in this position, your aging, toneless thigh muscles begin to shake. You'd love to sit down, but you certainly hadn't taken time to wipe the seat or lay toilet paper, so you hold this stance. Oof. Now, to take your mind off your trembling thighs, you reach for what you discover to be the empty toilet paper dispenser.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, you can hear your mother saying, "Honey, if you tried to clean the seat, you would have known there was no toilet paper." And then your thighs are shaking. Or yes. You remember the tiny tissue that you blew your nose on the day before. That one that's still in your purse. Oh, yeah, the purse around your neck that now you got to hold up, trying not to strangle yourself at the same time. That little tissue is going to have to do, so you crumple it in the puffiest way possible. It's still smaller than your thumbnail, of course. Somebody pushes your door open because the latch doesn't work, of course. The door hits your purse, which is hanging around your neck in front of your chest, and you and your purse topple backward against the tank. Occupied, you yell out, occupied. You reach for the door, dropping your precious tiny crumpled tissue in a puddle on the floor. Lose your footing, slide down directly onto the toilet seat. It's wet, of course. You bolt up, knowing you jump up, knowing all too well it's too late. Your bare bottom has made contact with every imaginable germ and life form on the uncovered seat because you never laid down the toilet paper. Not that there was any. And even if you, why am I running off the stage? This happens to me every week. I know why I'm running off the stage because I think I laid my arm on my, all right. All right, so you never put the toilet paper down, not that there was any, even if you had taken time. You know your mom would be really appalled if she knew because you're certain her bare bottom never touched a public toilet seat because frankly, you just don't know what kind of diseases you could get, she said. Well, by this time, the automatic sensor on the back of the toilet is so confused that it starts flushing, propelling a stream of water like a fire hose against the inside of the bowl that sprays a fine mist of water that covers your entire ass and runs down your legs into your shoe.
Oh, my God.
The flush somehow sucks everything down with such force that you grab onto the empty toilet paper dispenser for fear that you'll be dragged into. At this point, you just give the hell up. You're soaked by the spewing water and the wet toilet seat. You're exhausted. You try to wipe with a gum wrapper you found in your pocketbook and then try to slink out inconspicuously to the sinks. You can't figure out how to operate the faucets with automatic sensors, so you wipe your hands with spit and a dry paper towel. Then you walk past the line of women who are still standing there waiting. You're no longer able to smile politely to them. A kind soul at the very end of the line points out a piece of toilet paper stuck on your shoe. Where was that thing when you needed it, God damn it? You yank the paper from your shoe, you plunk it into the woman's hand and tell her, "Here, you just might need this." As you exit, you see your hubby. Your hubby's long since entered, used, and left the men's room. And annoyed, he's like, "What took you so long? Why is your purse hanging around your neck?" This is dedicated to every woman, everywhere, who dealt with public restrooms.
Yay.
It finally explains to men what really does, why it takes us so long, and it also answers the other commonly asked questions about why women go to the restroom in pairs. It's so the other girl can hold the door, hang on your purse, and hand you some Kleenex under the door.
That's good.
Excellent.
This man walks up to a farmer's house, knocks at the door, and when a woman opens the door, the man asks if she knew how to have sex. She was not amused. She slammed the door. The man knocks again and asks the same question. Again, she's pissed off. She screams, "Get the hell out of here." Later on, she told her husband about this incident, and he said he would stay home the next day just in case that guy came back. And sure enough, next day the same man came back. The husband hid with his gun while the lady answered the door. When she was asked again if she knew how to have sex, she said yes. And the man replied, "Great. Give some to your husband the next time you see him and tell him to keep away from my wife." There was a traveling salesman whose car became hopelessly stuck in a snowbank during a recent blizzard in North Dakota. It took him several hours to make it to the nearest farmhouse, but half frozen to death, he finally reached the front door and knocked on it. A grizzled old farmer answered, and the salesman begged for a place to spend the night. "Why, sure, young feller, I can give you a place to bunk, but I ain't got no daughter for you to sleep with like you always hear about in them thar jokes." "Oh, hell," says the salesman. How far is it to the next house?"
Beautiful. Oh, it's awesome.
Salesman's driving down a country road one day and his car broke down. There's a farm nearby, so he went up to ask for some help. The farmer suggested his daughter Nellie could give him a ride to town to get the necessary parts for the car. Now, Nellie was an innocent girl, the epitome of virginal beauty. Nellie and the salesman were on the way to town when he convinced her to pull over to the side of the road to enlighten her about the facts of life. They had some down and dirty sex all over the car and then went into town to get the parts. By the time they got to town, the auto store was closed, so they had to go back to the farm. Well, the farmer, he allowed the salesman to spend the night in the barn and get his car fixed in the morning. Next morning, salesman went up to the farmhouse to get Nellie so she could give him a ride into town, and Nellie was gone. And her sister Venus opened the door, and Venus, very unlike Nellie, she was sexy, voluptuous, and really even a bit sleazy looking. Venus volunteered to give the salesman a ride to town, and off they went. Venus did the convincing this time. Salesman had a ride of his life. And they eventually got back to the farm with the parts, and the salesman fixed his car, and he thanked the farmer, left his address so they could keep in touch in the future, and went on his merry way. A few months later, salesman got a letter from the farmer, and it said just this little poem. "Were you the one who did the pushing, left the bloodstains on the cushion, and the footprints on the dashboard upside down? 'Cause since you met my daughter Nellie, there's a swelling in her belly, and you better get your ass back to town." Salesman thought for a minute, and he wrote this response. "Yes, I was the one who did the pushing, left the bloodstains on the cushion, and the footprints on the dashboard upside down. But since I met your daughter Venus, I've had some problems with my penis, so I guess we're pretty even all around." Jack decided to go skiing with his buddy Bob, and they loaded up Jack's station wagon and headed north. After driving for a few hours, they got caught in a terrible blizzard. They pulled in a nearby farmhouse and asked the attractive lady of the house if they could spend the night. "I am recently widowed," she said, "and I'm afraid the neighbors will talk if I let you stay in my house." "Oh, not to worry," says Jack. "We'll be happy to sleep in the barn." Well, 9 months later, Jack got a letter from the widow's attorney. He called up his friend Bob and he said, "Bob, you remember that good-looking widow at the farm we stayed at?" "Yeah," Bob says, "I do." "Well, did you happen to get up in the middle of the night and go up to the house and have sex with her?" "Well, yeah, I gotta admit I did. Why?" "Did you happen to use my name instead of telling her your name?" And Bob's face turns red and he goes, Yeah, I'm afraid I did." "Wow, thanks, buddy. She just died and left me everything." One day, 3 salesmen went to a farmer and they asked him if he wanted to buy some of their products. And he said, "Well, all right, you wait here until I come back with the money, but don't touch my daughter while I'm gone." When he came back, he found him all on top of his daughter. He pointed his shotgun at him. He says, "Go out to my garden, pick 10 things, and come back in here." First male salesman, he comes in with 10 cherries. Farmer goes, "Okay, shove them up your butt and you can go." Not wanting to be shot, the salesman shoved those cherries up his butt and he was free. Second salesman came with 10 oranges. Again, the farmer says, "Shove them up your butt and you can go." After he'd done that, the salesman started laughing. The farmer said, "What's so funny?" The salesman says, "The other guy's out there picking up your watermelons."
Oh.
The A tourist lost his way on a back road and stopped at the farmhouse to ask if he could be put up for the night. Well, we're mighty crowded, since there's already someone in the spare room, says the farmer. But I guess you can say if you don't mind sharing a bed with a red-haired school teacher. Look, says the tourist, I want you to know that I'm a gentleman. Well, mused the farmer, as far as I can tell, so's the red-haired school teacher. Farm had been mortgaged to give daughter a college education. Now, driving home from the station after meeting her at the train, Farmer Johnson was greatly disturbed when the daughter said, I got a confession to make, Pa. I ain't a virgin no more. The old man shook his head sadly. After all sacrifices your ma and I made to give you a good education, and you still say ain't? Are you kidding me? This is very old. I should make this one my last one because it's kind of long. An eccentric lady was in need of a piano player for her upcoming party, and she put ads and spread word, but she couldn't find one. And one day, this bum knocks on the door, and she saw what he looked like, and she goes, oh, look, just go away. And he's like, please, just give me a chance. I'm a piano player. Well, she was so desperate, she let him in and let him perform for her just to see how, and she just couldn't even believe it. She couldn't believe her ears. She's like, wow, that is the best I've heard in years. What was the name of that song? And the bum goes, well, it's, I love my wife so much I took a big dump. Oh, how unusual. Would you play me another song? And he proceeded to play another tune, and again, she was just astounded by his performance. Oh, that was beautiful. It was fantastic. What was the name of that tune? He says, well, that one I called, I took my wife from behind and made a mess all over the carpet. How unusual, she said. Look, you can have the job, but do me a favor. If anybody asks the names of your songs, don't tell them, please. And do something about your clothes. You look terrible. Go and buy a tux for the party. Here's some money. The bum was real happy to have this job. He'd never bought a tux before, and he wound up getting one that was 3 sizes too small. Well, at the big party, the crowd was amazed at his performance once again. He bowed at the crowd back and forth. He ripped the whole rear end out of his trousers right in front of everybody. Didn't even. One lady steps up. She's clapping still, and she goes, sir, you are a fantastic, great piano player, but do you know you have a hairy ass and your balls are hanging out? And the bum says, lady, do I know it? I wrote that one.